Dear listeners, a new day and a new story to discuss. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that interests me. Listen and write down what you think about this situation. I'm interested in your opinions. Sitting alone with my thoughts, it feels surreal to pin down the beginning of a journey that led me to where I am today. It started on a St. Patrick's Day, a day marked by celebrations and revelry, but for me, it became the day when my life took an unforeseen turn. I remember walking into the bar that evening, the air thick with the scent of beer and the sound of laughter. It was there I first saw her, Elise. She stood out like a beacon amidst the sea of green, her laughter ringing clear, and her smile, oh that smile, it was like a siren's call. "Hey, Alex," shouted my buddy, Tom, snapping me back to reality. "You're zoning out, man. It's St. Patty's Day, not a day for daydreaming." Chuckling, I clinked my beer glass against his. "Sorry, man. Just got distracted for a sec." But my attention was already stolen. Elise was at the bar, chatting animatedly with the bartender. She wasn't wearing green, a rebellious choice on such a day. I couldn't help but be drawn to her. Taking a deep breath, I approached her, my heart racing with a mix of nerves and excitement. "Hey, aren't you afraid of being pinched for not wearing green?" I joked, trying to sound casual. She turned, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "I thrive on danger," she quipped back, her voice playful. "Besides, who would dare pinch me?" I laughed, the sound mingling with the bar's cacophony. "Well, I wouldn't dare, that's for sure. I'm Alex," I introduced myself, extending my hand. "Elise," she replied, shaking my hand with a firm grip. "So, Alex, what brings you to a bar on St. Patrick's Day, apart from the obvious? Just looking to escape the routine, you know? And maybe find some adventure," I said, a smile tugging at my lips. "That's the best reason to be here," Elise said, her eyes gleaming with a hint of something I couldn't quite place. "Adventure is where you find it, or where it finds you." Our conversation flowed effortlessly, like we had known each other for years. She had an air of confidence and a carefree spirit that was infectious. I found myself telling her about my job, my hobbies, and even my dreams, things I rarely shared so openly. As the night progressed, our banter continued, filled with laughter and playful teasing. We talked about everything and nothing, from our favorite movies to our wildest dreams. She had a way of making the most mundane topics seem fascinating. The hours slipped by unnoticed, and soon the bar was closing. "Time really does fly when you're having fun," Elise said, glancing at her watch. "Yeah, it does. I haven't enjoyed a conversation like this in a long time," I admitted, feeling a twinge of disappointment that the night was ending. "Who says it has to end?" Elise asked, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "The night is still young, and so are we." Her suggestion sent a thrill through me, a mix of anticipation and exhilaration. "What did you have in mind?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. "There's a little all-night diner not far from here. Best pancakes in town." "You game?" she proposed with a playful smile. "Lead the way," I said, my decision made. It was reckless, maybe even a bit crazy, but there was something about Elise that made me want to throw caution to the wind. We left the bar and walked through the cool night air, the city lights casting a soft glow around us. The diner was a cozy, retro place with a jukebox in the corner playing old classics. We settled into a booth, and as we waited for our pancakes, we continued our conversation, delving deeper into our lives, our fears, and our dreams. It was in that diner, over pancakes and coffee, that I felt a connection I hadn't felt in a long time. Elise was like a breath of fresh air, a spark of unpredictability in my otherwise structured life. And as the night turned into dawn, I knew that this was just the beginning of something new, something exciting. But little did I know, it was also the beginning of a path that would lead me down a road of turmoil and heartache. A path that would challenge everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and forgiveness. But at that moment, all I could see was the adventure that lay ahead, and I was ready to embrace it with open arms. The days following that serendipitous St. Patrick's Day were like a whirlwind. Elise and I plunged into a romance that was as intoxicating as it was swift. We were like two stars colliding, a fusion of energy and passion that I had never experienced before. It was on a sunny Saturday afternoon, a few weeks after we met, that I truly realized I was falling for her. We were at a local art festival, wandering among the stalls, her hand in mine, fitting perfectly. "Look at this," Elise exclaimed, pulling me towards a stall adorned with vibrant paintings. "Isn't it just breathtaking?" Her enthusiasm was infectious. "It is. You have a good eye for art," I said, admiring a canvas that captured a sunset over the ocean. It's not about having a good eye, she laughed. It's about feeling it in here, she continued, placing her hand over her heart. We spent the day exploring, talking about everything from our favorite artists to our childhood memories. It was during these conversations that I caught glimpses of a different side to Elise. She spoke of her past relationships and her struggles, revealing a vulnerability that she had masked with her confident demeanor. Everyone has their baggage, Alex, she said, her eyes meeting mine. It's just about finding someone who's willing to help you carry it. I was moved by her honesty. I guess we're all looking for that person, I admitted, feeling a connection that went beyond the physical attraction. As the weeks turned into months, our relationship grew deeper. We spent our days exploring the city, trying out new restaurants, and our nights talking until the early hours of the morning. It was during one of these nights, as we lay on the rooftop watching the stars, that I knew I had fallen in love with her. Elise, I have to tell you something, I said, my heart pounding in my chest. She turned to face me, her eyes reflecting the starlight. What is it? I'm in love with you, I confessed, the words feeling both terrifying and liberating. She smiled, a soft, genuine smile that made my heart skip a beat. I'm in love with you too, Alex, she whispered. It was a moment of pure bliss, a confirmation that what we had was real. But as our relationship progressed, I started to notice little things that nagged at the back of my mind. There were times when Elise would become distant, her mood swinging without warning. One moment she would be the life of the party, and the next, she would withdraw into a shell, refusing to talk about what was bothering her. Elise, what's wrong? I would ask, trying to break through her walls. It's nothing, Alex. Just leave it, she would snap back, an edge to her voice that I hadn't heard before. I tried to give her space, thinking she just needed time to work through whatever was on her mind. But these episodes became more frequent, and her temper started to flare over the smallest things. One evening, we were at a friend's party when a guy I didn't know came up and started talking to us. He was harmless, just making friendly conversation, but Elise's reaction was anything but friendly. Who is that guy? Why was he talking to you like that? She demanded as soon as he walked away. He's just a friend of Tom's. It was nothing, Elise. I tried to assure her, but she wasn't having any of it. I don't like it. I don't want other men talking to my boyfriend like that, she said, her voice rising. It was the first time I had seen this side of her, possessive and almost paranoid. It took me aback, but I brushed it off as her being protective of our relationship. As time passed, these red flags became more apparent, but I was too enamored with the idea of us to pay them the attention they deserved. Her unpredictable mood swings, the possessive streak, and her tendency to push people away, I ignored them all, choosing to focus on the good times we had. But deep down, I knew that these issues couldn't be brushed under the rug forever. They were like cracks in the foundation of our relationship, small but significant. And as much as I wanted to believe that love could conquer all, a part of me feared that these cracks would only widen with time, threatening to bring everything we had built crashing down. Our relationship, though filled with love and passion, was like a dance on a tightrope. I knew the risks, but Elise's vibrant spirit was too compelling to resist. It was a sunny day in July when I decided to take the biggest leap of my life. We were at her favorite spot in the city, a quaint little park that overlooked the river. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over everything. I remember how the light danced in her eyes, making them sparkle with a life of their own. Elise, do you remember the first time we came here? I asked, my voice betraying a hint of nervousness. She smiled, her gaze drifting to the horizon. How could I forget? You tried to impress me with your knowledge of stars and ended up pointing out a satellite. We both laughed, the sound echoing around us. I took a deep breath, my heart racing. There's another reason I brought you here today. She turned to face me, curiosity lighting up her features. What's up, Alex? I reached into my pocket, feeling the weight of the small box I had been carrying around for days. I knelt down on one knee, my eyes locked with hers. Elise, from the moment I met you, you've brought color and excitement into my life. You've shown me a world I never knew existed. I love you more than words can express, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? The words hung in the air between us, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, her face broke into the widest smile I had ever seen. Yes, Alex. 1,000 times, yes, she exclaimed, throwing her arms around me. We hugged, the setting sun casting a warm glow over our embrace. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. However, as we began planning our wedding, the initial joy soon gave way to stress and tension. Elise's desire for perfection turned into an obsession, with every detail scrutinized and reevaluated. One evening, as we sat discussing the guest list, her frustration boiled over. Why do we have to invite your second cousin? You haven't even spoken to him in years. I tried to reason with her. Elise, he's family. It would be weird not to invite him. Plus, he's already expecting the invitation. She slammed her hand on the table, her eyes blazing. This is our wedding, Alex. We should only have people there who matter to us. Her outbursts became more frequent as the wedding date approached. I found myself walking on eggshells, trying to avoid any topic that might set her off. One night, as we lay in bed, I decided to address the elephant in the room. Elise, I can't help but notice that you've been really stressed lately. Is everything okay? She turned away from me, her voice cold. It's just the wedding planning, Alex. It's a lot to handle. I reached out, trying to comfort her. We're in this together. If there's anything bothering you, you can talk to me. She shrugged off my hand. I said I'm fine. Can we just drop it? Her dismissal stung, and I lay there in the dark, feeling a distance between us that had never been there before. The weeks leading up to the wedding were a blur of appointments, tastings, and fittings. Elise's mood swings became more erratic, and I started to feel like I was marrying a stranger. 2 weeks before the wedding, during a final fitting for her dress, Elise broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she stared at her reflection in the mirror. Elise, what's wrong? I asked, my concern growing. She turned to me, her expression one of utter despair. I don't know if I can do this, Alex. I'm scared. What if we're making a mistake? Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. Elise, talk to me. Why are you feeling this way? She wiped her tears, her voice trembling. I love you, but I'm terrified of losing myself in this marriage. I'm scared of being trapped. I took her hands in mine, trying to reassure her. Elise, I love you for who you are. I would never want you to lose yourself. We'll face everything together as partners. She nodded, trying to smile through her tears. I know, Alex. I just need some time to think. As I drove home that night, her words echoed in my mind. The woman I loved was drowning in her fears, and I felt helpless to save her. Our journey to the altar was becoming more treacherous with each passing day, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were heading towards a storm that could tear everything apart. The week leading up to Elise's bachelorette party was like the calm before a storm. There was a nervous energy in the air, a mix of anticipation and dread that I couldn't shake off. Elise was unusually quiet, lost in her thoughts, and I couldn't help but worry. The night of the party arrived, and I saw Elise off with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Have fun, but not too much fun, I joked, trying to lighten the mood. She forced a smile, her eyes not quite meeting mine. Don't worry, Alex. It's just a night out with the girls. As I closed the door behind her, an uneasy feeling settled in my stomach. I tried to distract myself with a movie, but my mind kept drifting back to Elise. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a message from Tom. Hey man, hope all's good. Just saw Elise and her friends at Club Luna. They're having a wild time. My heart skipped a beat. Club Luna was notorious for its wild parties and wasn't the kind of place Elise usually frequented. I typed a quick reply. Thanks for the heads up. Hope she's okay. I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. The clock seemed to crawl, each minute stretching into an eternity. It was well past 3 a.m. when I heard the front door open and close. I got up, my heart pounding, and walked into the living room. Elise was there, her makeup smudged, looking disheveled. How was the party? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She avoided my gaze, her voice barely a whisper. It was fine. Just a typical night out. I could tell she was hiding something. Elise, if something happened, you can tell me. She sighed, a look of guilt washing over her face. Alex, I need to be honest with you. Things got a bit out of hand tonight. My heart sank. What do you mean? I did something stupid. There were these guys, and we were drinking, and things just happened. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. What happened, Elise? She was silent for a moment, then in a barely audible voice, she said, I kissed someone. It didn't mean anything, but I lost control. The room spun around me. You kissed someone else? Why, Elise? She broke down in tears. I don't know, Alex. I'm so sorry. I was just so confused and scared about the wedding, and I didn't know how to cope. I was at a loss for words, a mix of anger, hurt, and disbelief coursing through me. Elise, I don't know what to say. I need some time to think. She reached out to me, desperation in her eyes. Please, Alex, don't give up on us. I love you. It was a mistake. I pulled away, my mind racing. I need to be alone right now. I spent the rest of the night in the guest room, a turmoil of emotions keeping me awake. The woman I loved had betrayed my trust, and I didn't know if I could forgive her. As the sun rose, casting a pale light through the window, I realized that our path to the altar had just become a lot more uncertain. The future we had envisioned together was now shrouded in doubt, and I didn't know if we could find our way back to each other. The days following Elise's confession were a blur of confusion and heartache. The air in our apartment felt heavy, each room echoing with the remnants of a trust broken. I struggled to make sense of everything, the images of her betrayal playing on a loop in my mind. Elise tried to talk to me to explain, but her words fell on deaf ears. I was lost in a sea of emotions, each wave of anger and sadness crashing over me with relentless force. One evening, I sat at the kitchen table, a cold cup of coffee in front of me. Elise walked in, her eyes red from crying. "Alex, we need to talk about this. We can't just keep avoiding it." I looked up, the hurt evident in my voice. "What is there to talk about, Elise? You kissed someone else? How do I just get over that?" She sat down across from me, her hands trembling. "I know I messed up, and I'm so sorry. It was a moment of weakness. I was scared about getting married, about losing my independence. But it doesn't change how I feel about you." I shook my head, frustration building up. "Do you even hear yourself? You were scared, so you decided to kiss another guy? How does that even make sense?" She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "I was confused, Alex. I've never been good at dealing with my emotions. I know it's not an excuse, but I need you to understand." Understanding was the last thing on my mind. "You broke my trust, Elise. How do you expect me to just move past that? How do I know you won't do it again?" She was silent for a moment, then in a broken voice, she said, "I don't know, Alex. I wish I had the answers. All I can say is that I love you, and I regret what I did more than anything." Her words echoed in the empty space between us. Love had been the foundation of our relationship, but now it seemed like a fragile thing, easily shattered by a single act of thoughtlessness. The wedding was only a week away, and the pressure of making a decision weighed heavily on me. My family and friends kept calling, asking if everything was okay, but I couldn't find the words to tell them what had happened. I spent my days walking aimlessly around the city, trying to clear my head. The sights and sounds of the bustling streets were a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. One afternoon, as I sat in a park watching the world go by, my phone rang. It was Tom. "Hey, Alex. Just checking in on you. You haven't been yourself lately." I sighed, the sound heavy with weariness. "It's been tough, Tom. Elise and I are going through a rough patch." Tom's voice was filled with concern. "Is everything all right? Is the wedding still on?" I paused, the words catching in my throat. "I don't know, Tom. I really don't know." The conversation with Tom left me feeling even more unsettled. The idea of calling off the wedding was daunting, but the thought of going through with it while my heart was filled with doubt was even worse. I returned home to find Elise sitting on the sofa, a look of resignation on her face. "Alex, we need to make a decision about the wedding." I sat down next to her, the weight of the moment pressing down on us. "Elise, I don't know if I can do this. My head is telling me one thing, but my heart is telling me another." She nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. "I understand, Alex. Whatever you decide, I'll accept it. I just want you to be happy, even if it means letting you go." Her words were like a punch to the gut, a stark reminder of the consequences of her actions. The future we had dreamed of was slipping away, and I didn't know if there was anything I could do to salvage it. The uncertainty of our relationship loomed over us like a dark cloud, casting a shadow on everything we had built together. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I realized that finding closure was not going to be easy. The road ahead was uncertain, and I was scared to take the first step. But I knew one thing for sure: I couldn't stay in this limbo forever. I had to find the strength to make a decision, one that would either lead us down the path of reconciliation or set us on separate journeys towards healing. In the weeks that followed the unraveling of our wedding plans, I found myself adrift in a sea of introspection. The apartment we shared, once filled with laughter and dreams, now echoed with the silence of our unspoken regrets. I spent my days wandering through the city, each step an effort to distance myself from the pain. The familiar streets, once scenes of our shared happiness, now served as reminders of what we had lost. One evening, as I walked along the riverbank, the city lights reflecting off the water, I ran into an old friend, Mike. His surprise was evident. "Alex, man, I've been trying to reach you. Heard about the wedding. You okay?" I managed a weak smile. Yeah, Mike. Just taking some time to figure things out. He clapped a hand on my shoulder, his concern genuine. Want to grab a drink and talk about it? In a quiet corner of a dimly lit bar, over a couple of beers, I poured out my heart to Mike. It's like I don't even know who I am anymore, you know? I thought I had everything figured out, but now. Mike listened, nodding. It's tough, man. But sometimes, life throws these curveballs to teach us something. Maybe it's a chance to rediscover yourself. His words struck a chord in me. A chance to rediscover myself. The thought was both scary and liberating. The days turned into weeks, and I began to venture out of my self-imposed exile. I took up jogging, the rhythmic pounding of my feet on the pavement a therapeutic escape from my thoughts. I started reading again, losing myself in stories that took me to worlds far away from my own. One Saturday, I found myself at a local art exhibition. As I wandered among the displays, a particular painting caught my eye. It was a vibrant depiction of a stormy sea, the chaotic waves clashing against a lighthouse standing steadfast on a rocky shore. The artist, a middle-aged woman with a kind smile, noticed my interest. It represents resilience in the face of adversity, she explained. I nodded, the metaphor not lost on me. It's beautiful. How long did it take to paint? She chuckled. A lifetime of experiences and a month of painting. Her words resonated with me. A lifetime of experiences. Isn't that what life was about? Gathering experiences, learning, growing, and finding the strength to stand steadfast against the storms. I left the exhibition with a newfound sense of purpose. I started writing again, something I hadn't done since college. I poured my thoughts and feelings onto the pages, the act of writing helping to untangle the web of emotions inside me. One evening, as I sat typing away on my laptop, my phone buzzed. It was Elise. My heart skipped a beat as I answered. Alex, hi. I just wanted to check in on you. Her voice was hesitant, uncertain. I took a deep breath. Hi, Elise. I'm doing okay. How about you? There was a pause. I'm getting by. Listen, Alex, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. Her apology was a balm to my still healing heart. I know, Elise. And I'm sorry too. For what it's worth, I hope you find happiness. Thanks, Alex. I want the same for you. We said our goodbyes, a sense of closure finally settling in between us. In the months that followed, I slowly pieced my life back together. I reconnected with old friends, took up new hobbies, and even started dating again. But more importantly, I rediscovered parts of myself that I had lost along the way. As I sit here now, looking out at the city that has been the backdrop to my journey of love, loss, and self-discovery, I realize that moving on isn't about forgetting the past. It's about taking the lessons it taught you and using them to build a better future. Life is unpredictable, a tapestry of experiences that shape us in ways we never expect. And as I reflect on the path that led me here, I understand now that every step, every misstep, was a necessary part of my journey. A journey that I'm still on, one step at a time.